Welcome to a program featuring interviews of state and federal candidates, as well as the incumbents from districts served by Clatsop, Marion, Polk, Tillamook, and Yamhill counties. I'm Ruth McEwen, an advisory council member serving Northwest Senior and Disability Services Advisory Council. I want to welcome candidates, incumbents, and advisory council members to the 2022 Candidate Forum, which is sponsored by our Senior Advisory Council and our Disability Services Advisory Council. Northwest Senior and Disability Service is a local governmental organization that provides Medicaid, Oregon Project Independence, Older Americans Act, and grants-funded programs. The mission of the Northwest Senior and Disability Services is to promote dignity, independence, and health, honor choice, and empower people. The assistance and support we provide consumers include information and assistance, in-home and community-based services, and financial and medical help, meal sites and home-delivered meals, option counseling, adult protective services, Medicare counseling, peer mentoring, money management, as well as health and wellness programs. Because of the number of state legislative districts that our service area covers, we have invited a large number of candidates to be interviewed. Each candidate has been given information on the format used in these interviews. Each candidate will be introduced by a member of the advisory councils. Then each candidate will have the opportunity to answer questions which will be timed. That way you, the viewer, can compare apples to apples. We thank these candidates for their willingness to share their views about services for Oregon seniors and people with disabilities.
Hello, everyone. My name is Monica Adams. I'm a volunteer on the Disability Advisory Council for Northwest Senior and Disability Services. And today I'm interviewing Dan Farrington, who is a Republican candidate for Oregon House District 20. Dan, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Of course. So to get us started, could you tell us a little bit about your platform and experience and what would encourage a senior or person with disabilities to vote for you?
Sure. I was born and raised in Newport, Oregon, and I went to college and got a degree in education, and I've been in the business world for 40 plus years. I've owned my own business called Sunrise Medical Consultants. We do independent medical exams for the work comp. And I raised 6 children. One of those, I had 4 daughters and 2 sons, and one of my daughters had an IEP. She was labeled mildly autistic at age 2.5, and we enrolled her at the Pearl Buck Center in Eugene, Oregon. I had a class, part of being a PE major, I had to take a class at the Pearl Buck Center and work with people that were disabled and needed help, and we learned how to engage. And so I already knew about the Pearl Buck Center, so I entered our daughter there at 2.5, and she went through all IEPs through high school. And so I have a passion and a heart for disability, people with disability, but also in seniors. I have a mother that's 91. She's in assisted living here in Salem, and I also have a mother-in-law that's 89 who lives with us. My wife is an RN, and me being in the medical field, we're both very good advocates for my mother-in-law and my mother. And that's one thing that my platform would be about, is helping to engage, get people that are good advocates for seniors, but also disabilities, and give them in front of the right people, or have the right conversations and asking the right questions to be able to help them get to where they need to be comfortably living, their needs, and financial issues that they have. My mother-in-law lived overseas. She was a missionary. Her and her husband were missionaries, and coming back to the States, financial struggles were there. So that's why Linda and I, my wife and I, brought her and her dad into our home and to take care of them. So we are big advocates for seniors. We're big advocates for disability.
It's wonderful to hear you have that lived experience with our populations we work with. Really appreciate that. Thank you for sharing. Can you tell us a little bit about what you understand and know about OPI and how it improves the lives of seniors and people with disabilities?
Yeah, again, I researched that a bit and had conversations about this part, the OPI. I think it's important that we allow seniors to be able to stay at home as long as possible. I think having the right care, having the right caseworker that would go in and find out their needs and their wants and their financial situation. I think people do better at home instead of into an independent assisted living facility, because it is home and they feel some ownership and confidence. And I think we need to be encouraging that as much as possible, and to be able to provide a service for that as long as possible. For the disabled, they all have different needs, and we need to be able to define those needs and make sure we give them all the opportunities that they can to have a good life, and give the people that are supporting them ability to have the right resources. And again, it's having good resources and availability for them so they can be successful.
Thank you. That's really helpful. So kind of in a similar vein of looking at programs that support the populations we work with, how would you, in your new role, potentially prioritize state funding, especially funding matched with federal funds like Medicaid, for services to increase increased services for seniors and people with disabilities?
Yeah, I think from my understanding is there's not a lot, we're not getting much in the federal area. And I think that's important that they become partners with us, because our age group of these baby boomers are getting into that age group. So we need to make sure that we are being able to supply them with the right services and the right funding. But again, I like data. I like to look at data and see what's being successful, and then provide money to those organizations that are giving good services, and there's value to that, and it's really helping out the community. And you have to be engaged in that community a lot to find out what their needs are. Whenever I talk to people in business and different organizations, I always say, what's your wish list? And what are the things that are we missing? Or why aren't we getting the right services to the right people? And so those are questions I will always ask is, what is the wish list that we're missing and not be able to help our seniors and disabled individuals in our community? What are we missing? So I ask that question a lot. I work with the homelessness with the UGM of Salem, and that's a lot of my questions to them is, what are the services we need to be successful, and how do we get out of this vicious cycle?
Absolutely. On the note of homelessness, we're seeing increased risk for homelessness and food insecurity in Oregon. What are you planning to do on a state level so that seniors and people with disabilities don't face a lack of accessible housing and appropriate nutrition?
Well, we need to find that housing. We need to find those affordable places for people to live, especially when they don't have any family members around that can take them in or support them day in, day out. So we have to find affordable housing for our seniors, and making sure that they're able to get that housing. But also, if you do get that housing, making sure they have the right care. And to me, it's about the care and having inexpensive housing for them, but it's the care that they're provided. And do we have advocates that are actually working alongside them to find the best area for them to live in and be in? And again, we have to look at our community, and there is organizations in our community that provide this, and we have to engage in them too.
Absolutely. Did you want to comment on food accessibility and security as well?
Excuse me, say that again.
I was asking if you'd like to comment on food insecurity as well as part of that.
Yeah, I think Marion County and Polk County Food Share does a great job of funding there, and we just need to be supporting them. I mean, that's a lot of we should be making sure that we have money designated to that area and supporting them. But we have to support our farmers too. And again, our farmers are a big part of our community, and we might make sure that we're funding them and protecting their industry too. And again, this is it's a big overhaul of looking at our economy. We're looking at our small businesses that are able to donate, but also our farmers that are producing the product. We need to help our farmers be successful. We need to have our community be successful in business, our tax structures and all that, so they can be successful to hire more people. So our tax base grows from that. And then we are able to provide services to our food share and to disability and different nonprofits that need our funding.
Absolutely. All right, so final question for you. As a legislature, what are your plans to address behavioral health issues, especially those that have been brought on by health issues in isolation during the pandemic over the last few years?
Well, I think it's really affected our kids in school. I think we have to do a better job of educating them and coming alongside them and mentoring them. We need to be engaging with our seniors. Like, we have different avenues of doing that into our independent living, assisted living, and senior type environments, and come alongside, making sure they're back to being connected in our community. Again, behavioral health is affected by drugs too. We got to make sure that we get drugs off the street. We got to change Measure 110, and we have to get involved in our community as far as mentoring. We got to support like UGM and the Bridgeway and these different organizations that are help cleaning up our community as far as drug use. And but behavioral health is across the board. Everybody needs to be in community. We got to get engaging out in our community with people and allowing people to interact. The Zoom has been okay, and we learned a lot from Zoom, but I think people need to be around other people. And I know churches are trying to engage more into the community to help people with behavioral health. At Salem Heights Church, where I go to church, I'm part of our biblical counseling group, where we're seeing men, women, and married couples just to help engage with them and help them through issues, because behavioral health is in every situation. And our disabled, we need to make sure they have opportunities, and we can't close doors. And we have to tie also between what's available to people and those that qualify. And we need to shorten that. We need to bridge that gap of who qualifies and who doesn't qualify for services, because sometimes you may check certain boxes and not be able to get the services that you need. And we need to help those people that just check the 2 boxes, not just the ones that check 3 through 5. It needs to be everyone and go across the board. And again, preventative maintenance is always a big thing for me. If we can prevent some things from happening, let's engage in those type of activities. And a lot of it is in mental health and advancing. But it's in education. We need to make sure that we're teaching the basic skills of education in our classroom and also in our community.
Absolutely. Mental health affects all of us, and it's much better if we can preserve everybody's than try to fix it when it breaks down.
Yes.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for taking the time to answer all our questions today. And to everyone watching, thank you for joining us today for this interview with Dan Farrington, our Republican candidate for Oregon House District 20. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
I want to thank the candidates on behalf of the members of the Senior Advisory Council and the Disability Services Advisory Council of Northwest Senior and Disability Services for attending our candidate interviews. Copies of the interviews can be checked out from Northwest Senior and Disability Services by calling 503-304-3451. Again, that number is 503-304-3451. We hope the information that has been provided will help you make informed choices when you vote. The opinions expressed here are not endorsed by Northwest Senior and Disability Services. For more information or to get connected to services provided by Northwest Senior and Disability Services, please call 1-866-206-4799. Again, that number is 1-866-206-4799. The advisory councils for Northwest Senior and Disability Services would like to thank Capital Community Media for the production of the forum. Thank you for watching.